to welcome everyone to Association Latinos webinar on ASAE's Diversity Executive Leadership Program, also known as the DELP Scholar Program. My name is Josie Hernandez. I will be the moderator for today's session. I work for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics as a manager of member interest group and dietetic practice group relations. I am also a founder of Association Latinos. Along with me, we have several of our other founders on the call today scheduled to be on. One in particular is one of our panelists, Norma Castrejon. I believe Jay Carino will also be joining us today. So if you happen to see them, you can give them a shout out. Welcome to them. Association Latinos is an online community whose mission is to advance Latino leadership in associations and partner with organizations to foster diversity and inclusion efforts. We encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, as well as our other social media platforms on Facebook and Twitter. Our goals are to expand awareness and increase representation of Latinx professionals working in association management. For this reason, we partnered with ASAE and other Latinx DELP alumni to put together this session. We want to provide a space for the Latinx community and our allies to connect and learn about prestigious programs like the DELP program. As an FYI, last month we held a session on the CAE designation, and we have that recording available on our YouTube page. You can find a link to that at Association Latinos on LinkedIn. So let me provide an overview of what to expect in today's session. We have put together a distinguished panel so that by the end of the session, you will be able to understand the features and benefits, requirements, and application process for ASAE's DELP program. You will hear a firsthand account of the DELP experience by a recent DELP scholar who will share the benefits of the program has had on her career. You'll also be able to identify potential barriers to applying for the program and learn some best practices on the application process, as well as hear about the long-term impact of leadership opportunities of being a DELP scholar. So now I'd like to introduce our panel for today's session. We'd like to welcome Celia Besore, Chief Executive Officer for the Monitoring Association, Norma G. Castrejon, Senior Technology Consultant for Delcor Technology Solutions, and Ashley Roberts, Manager for the Diversity Executive Leadership Program with ASAE. Welcome, Ashley. I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And thank you, Association Latinos, for having me as one of your panelists. Well, my name is Ashley Roberts. I am the manager of Diversity Executive Leadership Program. I've been in the association space for the last 5 years, and I've been with ASAE for those entire 5 years, first working on volunteer relations and now managing our DELP program. So I'm going to walk through the specifics of how to apply, who we are as a program, and what we're looking for. Okay, so who we are. So our mission is to support the advancement of underrepresented groups within the ranks of leadership in the association management space. 2 things I really want to point out from this mission is ranks of leadership. This is a career advancement program. So we're looking for people who are looking to grow in their careers and more specifically grow within association management industry. We have had this program for over 20 years now, and we have a total of 216 alumni who have gone through the program and benefited from us. I also want to say that it's important to hone in on the word of leadership, because we know that leaders are the ones who are going to be making decisions. And our hope is to have people of diverse backgrounds a part of those conversations and making those decisions. And so when we develop leaders, it's not just for someone who wants to be the CEO of your organization, it's throughout your entire organization. If you're looking to be a change agent, then this program is for you. So here are a few stats about the DELP program, and it's really just to show that we are reaching our goals and the program works. Here you can see that 58% of our scholars and alumni are CAEs, and that is the Certified Association Executive. That means that they are obtaining knowledge about the industry. We also see that they are growing in their positions. 40% are in executive positions. So we're reaching those goals of having having career advancement. And one thing that really benefits ASAE is that our scholars and alumni become one of our most engaged members. They participate as council members, or they do volunteer opportunities. They also serve as a fellow, which is a very high honor within our association industry and our organization, ASAE. I want to talk about the values of our program, because one question I get a lot is, how can I distinguish myself as an applicant? And we are looking for a certain type of person, someone who is going to be ready to embrace community, someone who is looking to grow their networks. We're looking for someone who's willing to do the work behind growing their career. So whether that might be investing in mentors, investing in attending programs, all those things. And it's more so investing your time, because as a scholar, we take care of everything, all of your costs associated with our benefits. But you really still have to invest the energy and the time to be a part of a program that values leadership and networking and giving back, as well as embodying DEI, because we want to make sure that our scholars and alumni feel comfortable showing up in the spaces that they're in. I want to talk about this past year with the DELP program. Here it has new benefits, and that's because we actually did not recruit a class in 2021. We learned that the pandemic really affected the DELP experience of our scholars, and we listened to them. We listened to our current scholars, and we took the opportunity to take a pause and revamp the program. And we actually went through an extensive research process where we did feedback and a survey from our entire DELP community and stakeholders. And then we did some market research with focus groups, as well as created a DELP task force to help us create new concepts and new benefits for the program. And our thought process behind that was, how can we ensure that future DELP scholars will have a good experience with us no matter what environment that we're in? And so here on the screen, you can see a few things that are highlighted, and those are all of our new and enhanced benefits. And so I say enhanced because we were able to put a lot of structure around our benefits to ensure that they will be successful. And then I say new because there's some things that really came out of our research that we decided were needed within the program. So for example, one thing I'll talk about is under community with our DELP alumni sponsor. We had conversations with our alumni, and they said that it's very important that these relationships turn from professional to personal. And that's what you're gonna see in the DELP program. They're gonna become your family. And by having or adding a DELP alumni sponsor, you get someone who's gonna be able to help you navigate those relationships with everyone else, but also ensure that you have someone who's in your corner as a champion. Another example I am really excited to talk about is our mentor matching. Last year, we offered mentor matching. However, the structure behind it was very lackadaisical. You were expected to find your own mentor and kind of just report that I have found a mentor. But now we're going to be using the higher logic mentor match module, and we're going to be doing preferences. You can select expertise by what you want, and you go through an entire enrollment period, as well as receive orientations and have certain meetup times with your mentor. There's a long list of things that you're happy to go to our website and explore. And if you have questions about what changes have been made, please feel free to reach out. But these are new and enhanced benefits that we're excited to offer to the 2022 class. Eligibility requirements. This is a diversity program. So the base of our eligibility is to belong to a member of a racial ethnic minority group, or belong to our LGBTQ community, or be a person who is disabled. And so that's our baseline for eligibility. But then there are some things that we want to add in as far as position level. We say mid to senior level. And what that really means is someone who might be starting at a manager And I understand that titles differ within organizations. And so manager might mean something different than coordinator. So anything manager above, you are eligible to apply. However, the important thing to note is that you must have 3 years of minimum experience within association management. This is important to show us that you are growing within the industry and that there's an invested time to stay within the industry as well. Also for CEOs, that requirement is a little bit different. You only have to be a CEO for 1 year. The application checklist. Most of these things you might already have in your queue, like your leadership resume, your headshot, a bio. And I want to be sure to note that your headshot and your bio is only used if you are selected as a scholar. So the judges don't see who you are. We definitely try to control that bias there, but that's going to be used for our PR purposes because, as you know, this program gets a lot of visibility and people want to know who the scholars are. So that's just information that we gather on the front end, but things to note that are really important for your application are letters of recommendation. One of them is supposed to be from your immediate supervisor or your CEO. And I've gotten questions about this in email that I'll address with everyone. It's important that it comes from your organization because organizational support is really important in the DELP program. You do have to, like I talked about earlier, just submit a lot of time. And we want to make sure that your organization supports you in this effort as you grow professionally. Another letter of recommendation should come from a colleague within the association community. That can be from another DELP alumni that you know. It could be from someone inside your organization or outside of your organization. It can be from a member of ASAE or someone on our board. Anyone who you might think is a leader within the association community would be a great fit to write that letter. And then we have 3 essay questions that are really going to paint us a picture about those leadership skills that you acquire or those aspirational visions that you have for your career. We want to know why you want to be a DELPer and how we can help you achieve your goals, essentially. Now I'm going to review some important dates that we have. March 28th, which is in a little over 3 weeks, is our application close date. So you've got that much time to really gather your letters of recommendations and think about those essay questions. It might be helpful to have someone review them, but you've got some time to submit all of this in our open water system, which is our microsite. And then also an important date is May 17th. And that is when we expect to notify all of the participants whether or not they've been accepted or declined from the program. And after May 17th, it starts rolling in really fast. In June, we're going to have an orientation in DC. We're also going to have a DELP reunion where you get to be in community with all of your DELP scholars and alumni, meeting everyone for the first time. And then right after that, we go to annual meeting in August. So here on this screen is a list of confirmed dates in the program. And that's just things that you've already committed to by saying yes to a scholar. You get 2 annual meetings, as you see. You get invited to the leadership retreat in 2023. And we've also already set up our mentor-mentee orientations to make sure that everyone gets a part of that process and really gets to embody some of these new benefits we talked about earlier. So it's important to note that the commitment of your time as a scholar is just as important. You're going to get in, you're going to get out what you put in. So the more you participate, the more you'll be able to get from the program. So again, if you have any questions about anything that I covered, please feel free to reach out to me via email or phone call as listed here. And here are some sites that you can visit. The first site is just our site that has some DELP information, the history, who our scholars and alumni are. But the second site is really important because that's where the application is. So you're going to want to go there and apply to be a scholar.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I was saying that's a lot of great information that you provided. I want to remind everyone that if you have any specific questions for Ashley, please enter them in the chat. We will cover those during the discussion session. And I'd like to now welcome Norma Castrejon as our next presenter. Norma will be sharing with us about her experience as a recent DELP scholar. Norma, if you could let everyone know a little bit about yourself and also about your experience as a DELP scholar and the impact it has had on your career. Welcome, Norma.
Hi,
You're welcome.
everyone. I'm so happy to see a nice group of you that joined us today. Like Josie said, my name is Norma Castrejon. I am a senior technology consultant for DELCOR Technology Solutions. DELCOR provides technology services specifically for 501c organizations, so associations and nonprofits, as simple as IT support, or managed service providers, as well as assistance with system selections, IT assessments, project management, and virtual CIO services. I've been with the organization for a little under 6 months and worked at several associations prior to that for about 10 years. And I was a part of the 2015 to 2017 DELP class, and I'm very excited to be here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my experience with the application process. I know that there is some changes with, the program, and there's some enhancements, which is very exciting. But just my experience itself with the application process, just wanted to give you a little bit about that, information about that, as well as how I feel DELP has impacted my career within the association industry. So when I was probably working in associations for about 4 years, I, started to get involved with ASAE and Association Forum, and I learned about the program. But I also knew that Association Forum had a similar program, but it was more for the Chicagoland area. And at first I was like, well, let me start small and let me apply to the Association Forum program. And then I'll apply to ASAE because, I thought ASAE is like nationwide. I'll start off small. But then when I was going to apply for the Association Forum program, I found out that they were no longer continuing with it. So I think at that point I had to, when you talk about barriers, it was probably the barrier within myself of like, do I deserve to apply? Should I apply? Can I do it? Do I have the qualifications? Now I'm going to be competing against, across the whole country as opposed to just the Chicago area. But then at the end of the day, you kind of have to tell yourself that, you have to at least try, right? Because if you don't try, then you're definitely going to have a no, right? But at least if you try and you don't, and you get a no, then at least you know that you gave it a shot to begin with. And I think another thing that was really helpful for me is that I had a supervisor that was very supportive and who was more than willing to write a recommendation letter and to talk to the CEO about supporting me for the program. So that was like kind of like a check. And then I had to find like who would be my second recommendation. And it's like, do you look for someone in the industry or do you look for someone who really knows you as a person? And I decided to go with someone within the organization who was also a senior level executive and who I had worked with on several projects. So they knew my leadership style. They knew how I had begun to get involved with the association industry. So then I, kind of checked off the box for those two recommendation letters. And I felt that because I knew them, they knew me on a personal basis and they knew like how I worked, that I thought, I'm going to have pretty strong recommendation letters in that regard, right? And then with the application itself, with the essay questions, what I focused on when I did talk to someone who had been on the, DELP judging committee in the past. And one of the things they said is, you really have to focus on, you focus on what who you are as a leader, right? But then the other thing is focus on, your commitment to the industry, right? This program is amazing. Like Ashley said, you become part of a family, you have all these benefits, you get all this, access to go to conferences and CAE materials. And so you have to make sure, to me, I had to make sure that during the application process, I was able to, kind of demonstrate within my answers that I am committed to this industry, right? Like I was in corporate before and I had been working in association for 4 years, and I wanted to make sure that they knew, like, this is where I'm staying. I really love the association community. This is where I want to grow and continue to build on my career. And I think DELP will only help, with that. And then the other thing was that I made sure to say, like, how, I'm getting a lot, I would get a lot out of this program. How am I now going to give back because of what I've received through this program, right? So the other thing is that I focused on also stating how I'm going to give back to the industry, right? Like volunteer, helping others learn about the program, helping others learn about the association community itself. So I also wrote about my commitment to, to volunteer and give back to the industry. And then, the other thing with essays is like, you do your spell checks, you do your grammars, you don't turn in your first draft, right? You go and you read it, you have someone else review it. Because if you're going to be compared to someone who has, almost the same qualifications as you, like those little things matter. I have been on committees for scholarships or award committees. And when you have two people that are like very, very similar, then you do look to see, like, did this person put in that extra time to apply for the program? So that's kind of how my application, experience went. And I was very excited when I was selected, and I had a really great experience, and I continued to build on those relationships. And so when you first get into the program, like within that class, that 2-year time frame, you're going to get introduced to so many like highly visible people in the industry in senior level positions. And you're going to get to meet a lot of DELP alumni. And I know that one of the things that we did, we would do when you get into classes, you ask the DELP alumni, like, what advice do you have? What should I do these next 2 years? And many of them told me, like, you get out of it what you put into it, right? Because there is a lot of networking aspect of it. And then I'm like, oh, not a big networker. Like, that's not my thing. And I know that many people, there are some people who like it. There are many who don't. But then it's like, okay, if I'm going to get, like, now I've been selected, I've made this commitment that I'm going to give back to the community. I made this commitment that I'm going to help my career grow within the industry, right? So how can I get out of it what, as much as I can for the program, right? And so I think one of the things is that I'm not like a person that can, speak in a large group of people. Like when you're networking and there's like 6, 7 people, I'm not going to be telling stories or anything like that. But I think one of the strengths that I've learned through my career and, through my growth is that I'm really good at building relationships with one-on-one conversations, right? So that's how I built my network, right? I built my network because when I met someone, right, it's like, I'm not going to probably build that relationship with, when you're a big group of people, but I'm going to work on building that relationship one-on-one, right, to strengthen that relationship. And I think through DELP, I can say that through DELP, I have gotten like 3 very strong mentors. So I have, I had the mentor that you get through DELP, but then I also got 2 additional mentors. So I have Michelle Mason, Christy Tarantino, and Kim Mosley. And they are just wonderful women who have always been there when I have a question about my career, when I have a question about, like, when I'm, what am I going to do in the future? And so, not only did I just gain 1 mentor through the program, I gained an additional 2 who are now there for me, even after the program finished. And they're going to be there for me, like, until forever, until I retire, probably. And then I also built strong relationships with, several DELP alumni, my current class members who, I know I can just chat with them whenever I want, and even new DELPers. And then because of that, like when you go to a conference in the ASAE, like it used to be that I would go to a conference and it's like, oh, I don't really know anyone. But because the DELP class and the DELP alumni and the people that you meet you kind of start building that network a little bit more. Like you go to a conference and now you get to connect with people and now you know someone and that person can introduce you to someone else. And you kind of just start building things from that regard. And so I've really seen that trajectory, happen with me within the last, 6 years. And then, because of DELP, I made that, like I said, I made that commitment to give back to the industry. And I've been doing that a lot through the association forum because they are a big part of the association industry. So I volunteered for committees. I've chaired and co-chaired several committees from like the awards committee, Smart Tech Conference, Holiday Showcase, the Women's Executive Forum. And I'm currently the co-chair of the Latinx Advisory Group for Association Forum. And so I feel that I just need to continue to giving back to the community that has done so much for me for my career. And then I'm going to credit also DELP for the fact that I obtained my CAE because they paid for your books. They paid for the test, right? So I'm like, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that that's made available to us. And because I kind of was thinking of doing it, but work always gets in the way. You're always busy with, managing your personal life and your work life. But, because they gave you that opportunity of like, we're going to pay for your books, we're going to pay for the test, and you have this deadline, like I committed to doing that as well, right? And so I obtained my CAE. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm going to, credit DELP for doing is for creating this Association Latinos LinkedIn community. Because I met Jose and, so there's 5, founders for for this community. So I met Jose and Josie through Michelle Mason, who's now my mentor. And then I met Carlos and Jay because they're current DELPers, right? And then we came together and we created this community with this really strong mission and that we're all very passionate about. And we're, looking forward to keeping that growth going and giving back to the association community. And then from a career aspect, I think because of being part of this program and having the mentorships and having those peers that I can talk to, I've been able to move several, between several positions. And like every time I move that position, it's like, my mentors or my peers, they help me reflect, right? Like they help me reflect, like, is this the right move to what I want to do next? What am I going to gain from this next position? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Right? It helps me, they help me kind of reground myself, think about what I want, be intentional about what I do. And, just for example, being part of Delcor right now, like if you're in the tech, the tech portion of associations, Delcor is a very reputable company. So when I had the opportunity to apply and get hired here, it was like, ooh, can I do this, right? But then I had my mentors, right? And I had my peer groups and those people that kind of remind you of like everything that you've done, everything that you can do. And the fact that you can now like be part of an for me, like be part of this reputable company that is committed to associations, who supports the work that, the volunteer work that I continue to do within the industry. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about, everything that, has happened with DELP while I've been, since I started in 2015, my application process and kind of like the impact that it has had within my career. So
Thank you, Norma.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. You shared so many different aspects of the program. I captured networking, right? Providing you with a network of people, mentorship, resources to the CAE exam. You gave us some really great examples of how DELP has had an impact in your career. Just as a follow-up question, what do you think from everything that DELP provided you made the most impact for you personally?
Yeah.
And
so you asked, so you had asked like, what was the biggest thing that DELP has had an impact with out of all the things that I said? I think, well, I'm going to say, it's kind of hard to say, but I'm very proud of the Association Latinos LinkedIn community that we've created. And I'm totally going to credit DELP for that, because I think the connections that were made were because of DELP. If I was not in DELP, there was no way that I would have gained the mentors that I have gained and probably met the people that I currently have, and have that DELP family that we talk about, right? So I'm going to say that. And then I really love my class, right? Because you have a cohort of the class, and I know that they're there, they're there to support you whenever you kind of have like a new position, a new experience. They're just going to be there to support you along the way.
Right. Thank you. Thanks so much. A lot of great information. You shared a lot of your personal experience, so we appreciate that. I'd like to now welcome Celia, Celia Besore, to our discussion. Celia, please share a little bit about yourself and your experience with the DELP program. Let us know how DELP impacted your career, what you see as some potential barriers to the application process, and about volunteer opportunities that DELP provided, and also any other advice you can offer.
Well, thanks so much for the opportunity to share my experience about DELP. It is truly somebody, Danielle, one of our DELP friends, texted, Norma, you did a great job. So some of what I'm going to say is a little bit repetitive, but I think it's worthwhile repeating. Basically, everything that Norma said, I 100% agree. It's an amazing experience. So my name, again, is Celia Besore, and I am the CEO of the Monitoring Association, a trade association in the security alarm monitoring space. And my member companies save lives and property every day. I always say that we are the good monitoring people because we are paid to monitor and protect businesses and people's homes. So for those of you that have alarm systems, my members are the ones that are keeping you safe. As I mentioned, I love talking about DELP because of the impact that it has had in my career, in my association career. When I applied, when I was chosen, I applied like Norma and maybe other people. I had heard about it. I wasn't sure. I actually, I was always paying for all my expenses. So I was looking for, wow, they're paying for the annual meetings and I'm at CAE and I have to take, start attending. I'm going to apply. And I had no idea what I was getting into and how amazing the experience was going to be. So we all have many different reasons why we start getting interested in DELP, but I really did not understand the amazing experience that being what we call ourselves DELPers was going to be. So everything we say, you truly will have to live it to really get what we're saying. And as already was mentioned, what I found when I became a DELP scholar was an amazing ready-made association family. I am very, even though it doesn't look like it, I am kind of shy. I'm like Norma. I don't do well in 50 people groups. And when I would go, like my first ASAE annual meeting, I didn't really know anybody other than names in my committees, but I had never met them. It was by phone. And it was so awkward. People know each other and you're in a corner. And once I became a DELP scholar, everywhere I go that has to do with ASAE, there's always at least one or more DELP scholars. It also gave me increased visibility, and I'm going to expand on that a bit more. Norma also mentioned it. And also opened tons of doors that probably will have never been open. And maybe they would have been open with a heck of a lot more effort. So I became a DELP scholar in 2010. So it's already been 12 years. And I actually got it when I was transitioning from being a VP to a CEO. So I remember we have an orientation when we become a DELP scholar and they do a video. And at that point I was a VP. And then by the time they were going to show it at the annual meeting, I had become a CEO. So I'm telling you, the encouragement and validation that I got when I found out that I had been chosen as one of 12 people, and when I saw their descriptions and who they were, like, wow, how did they even choose me? It gave me such a boost of my self, esteem, and it made me encouraged and gave me validation. And it really increased my confidence that I could do that first CEO job. It also connected me with ASAE staff, especially senior staff, some very well-known ASAE members, the ones that you've seen collaborate, having all the answers, as well as other DELP scholars who I could reach out to advise. So all of a sudden, I went from knowing few people other than committee people that I had worked only by their names and their voices, to having a huge group of people that I could, interact with. And as I mentioned, one of the things, it increased my visibility and made accessible many opportunities. And one of the things that Norma said, even if you have serving committees, when you become a DELP scholar, somehow there's more of a spotlight, but it also gives you more like a sense of you have to really do a great job, because in many committees, you are the DELP face. And we obviously always want to show how awesome this program is. And, you have a sense of responsibility towards the community. So, it spurs you to do better, to serve, stronger and all that. Like Norma, my barrier was a little different. So I wanted to be a DELP scholar for, the reasons I mentioned, without understanding how much more it was going to be. But the first barrier I experienced is my then boss told me, Celia, I don't believe in diversity, but I will write you the letter just because it's you. So as you can tell, I really needed to be part of a diversity executive leadership program, because I didn't have that encouragement where I was. He was wonderful in many other ways, but not on that one. And but unfortunately, I also had applied for a Gold Circle Award, and I got confused with the deadlines, and I submitted the DELP application a day too late. And unfortunately, that meant that I had to reapply the next year. And at that time, my boss no longer wanted to support my application. But I always believe that when you want something bad enough, you do not give up. And some of you that know me know that that's very persistent. So I persevered. And by the way, start early in the process. So, I had almost a month to just drive him insane until he agreed to write my letter. And so he did support me, and and I applied. Unfortunately, I made it. In between the first application and the second, I had gone to Ashley's predecessor, Mary Lou, and I had asked her to connect me with a DELP scholar so that I could understand a little better what the experience was like. And kind of like the stories that you're hearing from us, I found that very helpful when I was gonna be writing my essay. Some of the volunteering opportunities that I had, my goodness, so many opportunities to be in task force, committees. In fact, I most recently became, you heard Ashley mentioning the DELP task force, and somebody contacted me, and as I always do, I say yes. And I was really very happy to participate. While not directly related to DELP, but more significant opportunities that I truly believe were facilitated by the visibility that DELP provided me was applying and being accepted to serve on the ASAE board and becoming an ASAE fellow. I had been volunteering for many years before I even applied to DELP. But I honestly believe that the type of volunteering and the type of opportunities that I had since I became a DELP scholar for those 12 years is what really led me to, be able to go to the ASAE board, which I would have never thought I would have been there. So it was like an amazing experience. And then more recently, being an ASAE fellow, which I have to tell you, it took me 4 tries. So if you're interested on that, that's another story. So never give up. And but I think being a DELP scholar was a great thing that really kind of shine more of a spotlight on my volunteering and what I could offer the profession. So I think it enhanced my reputation, and like I said, I highly recommend that you do everything you can, no matter what, to apply and hopefully win. And advices to association, people that want to apply to DELP. First of all, apply. I know sometimes we're not sure, it's a lot of work, I don't think I have a chance. If you don't apply, you do not have a chance. And I can tell you that I know many people that were not taken the first year, and they kept applying and they made it, and they're like amazing executives. They can only choose 12 people. And sometimes, I know when I see, who they choose, I mean, the competition is a little brutal because they're so awesome, but don't give up. You're just as good and you can make it. It just depends. Some years, maybe, so don't give up and keep applying. Make sure something that was already said, but I want to emphasize, make sure your application represents the best of you. Remember, they may know you, maybe some of the judges, but most likely not. And they will base the decisions. I was a DELP scholar judge 1 year, and we have to base it on what's there. Answer the question. Sometimes we have this canned speech that we talk about importance of diversity, and really, write it on your own voice, be authentic, and answer the question. Make sure that you're not just going into some prepared concept, but actually ask the actual question. And write tightly also. It is very hard sometimes to write short rather than just ramble on. So write and rewrite. And as somebody mentioned already, please make sure you don't have typos or grammatical errors. When I was a DELP judge, there were several amazing candidates, but their whole application was shoddy. And, like Norma said, when you have two people that are like amazing, but one put the effort and, it's really like their best picture, that person is going to get chosen. So don't let these things keep you from making one of the 12. And take advantage of people that are willing to review your application. There is, a bunch of DELP scholars that you probably know. Some of them are in this, attending the session. And, they don't have to DELPers either. Make sure, in fact, it's sometimes better if you have several people that are from different backgrounds that read your application, because they're going to look at it from a different point of view. So a DELP scholar would be good because they kind of know what DELP is, but also somebody from the outside will be able to read it with an open mind and make sure your questions are answered. Let's see what else. Again, if you don't make it the first time, keep applying. And then once you get chosen, it's such an honor to be chosen as a DELP scholar. Say yes when ASAE comes calling. That has been my motto from, well, when I became a CA, but even more when I became a DELP scholar. You will get, as somebody mentioned, you will get out of DELP as much as you're willing to put in. I know some people that haven't had the same experience I've had, but they never attended the retreats. They didn't, get together, and it's very important to do that. And, someone who later became a mentor, a DELP mentor, unofficially, but, she became my mentor, had said she was invited to the DELP orientation that all the new DELPs scholars go through. And I remember she said, you need to squeeze the orange if you want a lot of juice. So just keep that image in your mind. Whatever you do, always put your full person in and always say yes when the opportunity comes in. And then also, once you are a DELP scholar, don't forget to promote the program. That's why all of us, we just recruit people like crazy, or try to tell people about DELP because we want more people to have that advantage. And then, of course, help others to follow you. I think we have a responsibility to always bring more people with us. So I don't know, I hope that answered some of the people's questions that you may have had. Like I said, I know a lot of it already had been covered, but I felt some of those things were important to reemphasize. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Celia. You are such an inspiration. Your story is so inspirational because I think it touches on so many different experiences that many of us could be seeing ourselves in. Being in a situation where, you're working and it's a great environment, but you have someone that says to you off the bat, I don't believe in diversity. There may be some of us who are thinking, maybe you're in a large organization or a small organization that, hasn't supported these types of programs, or, how do you manage that? And how do you just keep on persevering, so that you do have that support that's important?
So one thing I wanted to add, this is also 12 years ago, and I think, thank God, people are so much more aware of the importance and the critical need to be diverse. that I think it would be a little harder nowadays, but there's always going to be people like that. So if you're in a larger organization, like Ashley said, you don't have to go to your immediate supervisor. If that person don't want to support you, talk to the CEO. You know, I mean, I always been in small staff associations, so my supervisor was my CEO. But fortunately, like I am so persistent. And also remember, like Ashley said, this is a leadership program. And almost there's already the hope that you're already a leader in some ways, right? So you need to also, you know, they're gonna support you. Like my boss didn't believe in diversity, but he knew I wanted it real bad. I always did a great job. And I guess he didn't want to lose me. That's why he did it. So whatever it is, you don't give up, okay?
Thank you. Okay, so at this time, I want to invite everyone to turn your cameras on. We're going to change things up and you should be able to start your video. Also, you should be able to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question to the group. So the other thing we want to do is we want to put, for you to maximize this discussion period, if you go to the right hand and you see the view icon, you want to click on that icon and then click on the one that says gallery. And then that way on your screen, you should be able to see everyone's little tile with your picture. So welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. During this part of the session, we'd like to encourage you to ask questions, or if you are a previous DELP scholar, if you want to jump in and share a little bit about your experience, please feel free to do so.
So I will go ahead and start. Hello, everyone, and thank you guys for putting this together. My name is Nick Bailey, or Nicholas Bailey. I am currently the online education manager at the California Water Environmental Association. So the company is based in California. I currently work remote in Atlanta, hey ATL. So prior to this role, and I'm very, very familiar with ASAE, with the DELP program. Prior to living in Atlanta, I used to live in Chicago, and I used to work for Association Forum, where I managed the scholarship program that Association Forum put on. I worked with Jay a little bit and a few other people on the call. So hello, everyone. But happy to be here. And this is my year to apply for DELP, right? Even before and when I worked at Forum and always active on ASAE and was actually on the diversity committee, I never applied just for the reasons that Norma shared, which was, you know, I have to go against a national competition and am I strong enough, or whatever the case may be. So this year I decided to throw caution to the wind and just kind of, you know, make it all work. So my question is, I did see the updated application, but my question is, as a manager, and I hate to say just as a manager, but as a manager, one of the questions is, you know, what's your opportunity to be a change agent in an organization? And obviously, you know, as a manager, as I manage project, as I manage a few people, I can't have the same influences within the organization as a CEO or someone that's on a, you know, director level or the C-suite. So that's always been a fear of mine with applying for the application, which is, you know, is my application going to be as strong as somebody that sits on a C-suite that's a director or whatever the case may be, as a manager or someone that not junior in my career, but more junior in the organization?
So I will say that when I applied, I was assistant director of IT at the time. And so I wasn't like director or C-level suite either. And I think that's one of the things, right? Like if you can't do it within your organization, like in your direct job, what are you doing outside of your organization to be that change agent, right? So this is why, you know, I may not be like a CEO or a chief staff executive, but I'm being the change agent outside by the volunteer work that I'm doing, right? So if you can't be that direct within your organization, my story would be like, what am I doing for the association community in general? That would be my advice.
That's great. Thank you so much.
But Nick, even in your job, anything that can show that you have improved your department or all that counts, you know. So don't think that's not important. That's where you do your everyday work. So I agree with Norma. Things that you do volunteering, like you mentioned a bunch of stuff you have been doing. That's all great. But also, you know, you obviously are doing a great job where you are. So Don't belittle that.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. And thanks those
Yeah.
guys in the comment, Joes, as well. Perfect. Appreciate it.
Dan-
Yeah. and
Danielle,
Nick,
I
just-
think.
Yeah, and I just want to say that the state association, I think that's diversity. I think we need different perspectives too. I actually heard from a mentor that he got picked to serve on the ASAE board because he was in Dallas as opposed to DC. So sometimes you never know what they're going to factor in. And I echo everybody's comments. Like, you can be a change agent in your department, in your organization. It doesn't have to be C-suite. That type of mentality and the growth mindset and, you know, the desire to change things, that's what's going to take you to the C-suite. And that's exactly what DELP's about. If you look at the cohort, right, where people started and where people are now, that's exactly what, you know, the mission is. And I think that's what makes the program so beautiful, because it's very simple and clearly stated. We want to diversify the upper echelons of associations. And here's how we're going to go about that. So I think, you know, there's no better time than now.
We have a question. Thank you, Danielle. We have a question in the chat. Does it work against you if you talk too much about the contributions you have made to the organization? I think that's a great question.
I can start with that. The answer is no. You know, like Celia said, people who are reviewing your applications, they probably don't know you. And so this is a way for us to get a full picture of who you are. And also your leadership resume, it could be your CV. We just ask that you don't go over 3 pages. So you have that space to really elaborate about the contributions that you've made. I got a question for a direct message that I would like to, you know, just share with the group.
Sure. Go ahead.
The question was, what if you can't attend one of the conferences because you already have a work commitment? And I want to say that none of the programs besides our orientation are required per se. However, it's important to take advantage of the benefits when they are offered to you. Because if you do not, for example, go to an annual meeting, it's not like they can just continue to roll over and roll over. That would be you making the choice to pass up on the benefit. So we completely understand, you know, work conflicts, family conflicts, and things like that. But it's just be conscious, like, I know I already can't make 3 meetings that of the dates I've been given. Is this the best time for me to apply? It's about asking that question of commitment. How much commitment can I give to the program that we talked about earlier? But essentially, it's nothing counted against you. Like I said, we want to support you. So we're going to give you the means to make these travel accommodations, et cetera. But if you can't go, it's okay, but you just have to know that you're essentially forfeiting a benefit.
I have a question. When I started, it was any 2 ASAE meetings. Has that been changed? So if you couldn't make, I mean, obviously you want to be on the first annual meeting because that's where they bring you on the front of thousands of people. But if you can't make it one year in one particular one, can they just do another, like maybe the marketing or the technology or the one they do in Canada? I mean, isn't that the case that you have 2 meetings a year, but you could flex a little bit?
Right, correct. So one of the benefits is travel and accommodations to education programs. And because we are in the times when you can select if you want that to be in person or virtual. But yes, you can choose which programs best fit your schedule. And so there's a lot of flexibility in that as far as picking your education programs. And then also with one of our enhanced benefits, coaching, we enhanced coaching this year because before you had to do coaching at annual meeting, but now you are able to do coaching at your own time. And we give you a time period for when you can select your coach and you get the instructions for the process. So it's based on when it's most convenient for you. So you do have a lot of control over the benefits, but those dates that I shared on the PowerPoint, those are just some of the things that are already set in stone.
Thank you, Ashley. So we've got about a minute left, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If you do have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email them to us at Association Latinos. We will be sending out a handout with contact information and links to some of the resources we shared. This is being recorded, so the video recording will also be available and the slides will be available as well. We'll send that all out to you. You will be redirected to complete a survey at the end of this. So please do that. And I just want to also share how nice it is to see all of us here in this little community on Zoom, getting to know each other and getting connected with new people. So welcome. I encourage you to continue to follow Association Latinos on LinkedIn. We look forward to sharing knowledge about other programs similar to this. And as I said, our goal is to increase representation within the association management industry. I'd like to give a big, huge thanks to all of our panelists today. Celia, thank you so much. Ashley and Norma, we are so appreciative of the time and of the knowledge that you shared. And thank you to all of our participants as well. We wish you the best of luck. Keep us updated if you apply and how that process goes for you. Thank you.